Shout out Eugene.
Bro, the Pacers' assist to turnover ratio is ridiculous.
It's unreal.
I don't know for sure, man. I know.
I'll check YouTube. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm checking right now.
Well, in case we are, what's up, everybody? And welcome back.
Oh, yeah, watch live now.
We're live, huh?
Yeah.
End the stream and start it again.
What's up, everybody? And welcome back to the BallGame podcast. I'm the innocent bystander, Matt Sullivan.
I'm Tom.
I'm Chris.
In case we are. Well, we are live. I was expecting. See, now I'm pausing, expecting us to play the intro, and then we don't play the intro, and I just sit here staring.
Yeah, me and Chris just meet and decide how to set you up for failure before every show.
It's so messed up. Like, I try to be a good host here, and it's just like I can never get it right. I just really can't. One day I'll actually, like, not speak, and it'll play the intro, but,
Until that day,
welcome back. Please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. Today's an NBA episode. Yesterday was an NFL episode. If you haven't already, go check out yesterday's episode. We talked a lot about a good amount of teams that we haven't really spoken that much about, namely the Texans, the Steelers. We spoke a little bit about the Browns, which, by the way, Deshaun Watson now out for the year. Just a quick side note to start this thing off. And then what was there was one other team that we spoke about yesterday. Who the hell was it?
The Steelers?
I said the Steelers. What was the other team?
Well, I mean the Bills,
my God.
But
Who? Wow, I can't even. I'm blanking right now. I'm so blanking.
Anyway.
For a moment. Anyways, as I said, today's an NBA episode. We haven't really gotten the opportunity to talk too much about the NBA to this point. I'm going to be honest, I have paid a lot more attention to football than I have basketball so far to this point. I definitely refreshed a little bit on my knowledge for the NBA before this podcast so that I was able to actually speak knowledgeably. But, yeah, so we're going to talk about some of the teams that have been off to hot starts, some of the teams that have been on some incredibly cold streaks, namely one that I'm very excited to talk about. But, yeah, so without further ado, two teams that we felt like we absolutely had to mention because, in a way, they started off incredibly unexpectedly. And those two teams are the Dallas Mavericks and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Mavericks currently possess an 8-3 record. They're sitting within the top three of the Western Conference, I do believe, right behind the Denver Nuggets. And the other team, the Minnesota Timberwolves. These two teams have been incredibly intriguing to start this season, and I think for completely different reasons, for complete opposite sides of the ball so far to this point.
Yep.
So I'll pose the question to you guys. I will ask this. We'll obviously talk about both of them, but whose hot start is more sustainable, the Dallas Mavericks or the Minnesota Timberwolves?
Man, it's so tough because, like you said, they're both really good for really different reasons. I'm going to rattle off some stats for the Timberwolves here. They're first in opponents' points per game, 102.9 a game. Third in average scoring margin. Third in opponent paint points per game. That was a tough one. First in opponent effective field goal percentage. First in opponent three-point percentage. First in opponent two-point percentage. They're really good at defense. And it seems like the Rudy Gobert effect is in full effect this season. Just took him, a full season to get it together, but better late than never, I guess. I'm gonna go with the Mavericks, and the thing about Minnesota that we still don't know for sure is Karl Anthony Towns' future. I feel like because he still kind of feels like the odd man out, and I know they need that second scorer to Anthony Edwards to complement him, and he's been unreal this season. Just a complete dog. He's going to be, if he's not already, he's a superstar. Let's face it. But he's going to be one of the faces of the league one day. He's a guy you like to root for. He's a guy you love to watch. He competes hard every night. And it seems when he hears people talking shit and the game gets down to the wire, that's the worst thing you could have for Anthony to guard Anthony Edwards.
Michael Jordan gene.
Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, I don't know if do they ship Cat for some some other offensive assets? Do they try and get like an upgraded version of Karl Anthony Towns offensively? Because it felt like, before the season we were talking about the Timberwolves, like they may have to tear it all down at some point during the season, and now it doesn't look that way at all. So, what do they do with Karl Anthony Towns? I don't know. And on the Dallas side of things, I know you two have bigger agendas on these teams, so you'll go into more depth than I will. But Dallas's depth has just been really good. I feel like I see Derrick Jones Jr. out there giving him quality minutes. Tim Hardaway has been pretty. I mean, he's been Tim Hardaway. His numbers don't jump off at you, but he's had good games. Grant Williams was off to a hot start scoring the ball. He hasn't been as of recently, as far as I know. And Derek Lively has made an immediate impact on this team. So Dallas has
Sleeper rookie of the year.
Yeah, for sure. Dallas has Luka Doncic, so I'm going to trust that guy to get them far. It's tough though. Minnesota is really proving a lot of people wrong. So, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to let Chris go before I fully go, but I will say in response to the one thing that you did mention about Cat, so over his last 4 games, he has averaged upwards of 24 points per game. Officially.
Okay. Yeah.
Efficiently, too. So all 4 of them being wins, obviously, because they're on quite the streak at the current moment. But yeah, so it seems as though they've kind of started to figure out the whole Karl Anthony Towns thing. It was just a slow start to the season. I would just assume this stuff happens. He's the second scoring option on this team, and now that he's kicking it into full gear, clearly, I'd like to think that this stuff is pretty sustainable, but I'll go more in depth after I let Chris have the floor on his boys.
So, I mean, it's the Dallas Mavericks. That's the answer to this question. That's what I believed in before the season started. Listen, I'll start with the Timberwolves. They've been great, and they've done some things that are very moving, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They've been great, despite having what I thought was an issue in Karl Anthony Towns. Like you said, the past few games, he's really buckled down. I think over his last 4, he's averaging like 25. He's been better, but when we're talking about these teams and who we believe in more long term, I still think there's an issue with the Timberwolves. I think there's a Karl Anthony Towns issue. I think come playoff time, teams will be able to pick on him in the pick and roll, and I don't know if Rudy Gobert will be able to make up for that when teams are pulling him away from the basket. That'd be the obvious strategy against them. Offensively, they're middle of the pack. They're 17th in points per game scored. They're just middle of the pack. Obviously, Anthony Edwards has been great. He's averaging 27.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. Like, he's been phenomenal. But I question this team's strength come playoff time, because right now their strength is defense, and I feel like there's a world where their defense can, I don't want to say get exposed, but can get exposed come playoff time. When I look at the Mavericks, they've been great so far this year for exactly why we thought they'd be great. We thought they'd be one of the best offenses in the league. We thought they'd improve their shooting with guys like Grant Williams, and they've done exactly that. And I mean, it all starts with Luka Doncic, obviously. I mean, Luka's having a career year. He's averaging 31 points, He's averaging 7 rebounds, 8 assists, and he's shooting 42% from the three-point line. 43% if we're being generous and rounding up. And we know Luka, he's a high-volume three-point shooter too. So he's shooting 10 attempts, and he's shooting 40%. Every 10 threes Luka takes, he makes 4 of them. Like, that's a pretty insane clip. And then you look at Kyrie Irving, who, lately he's turned it up in the scoring department, only averaging 22 on the year, but he's averaging 7 assists.
Yep.
He's been great for them in terms of playmaking. And I mean, we talk about, Grant Williams, he's shooting over 50% from 3. That'll regress down to the mean a little bit, I think. But I could rely on Grant Williams to be a 38% shooter, I'll say. 40.
He's a knockdown corner guy.
Right. And then you look at Tim Hardaway, who you can make a case he's the sixth man of the year to this point. He's averaging 17.5 points per game. He knows his role. He's going to come in, he's going to jack up shots, and he's going to be pretty damn good at it. You look at a guy like Derek Jones, Derek Lively, these guys are providing you the defense that you didn't have in the past. And then you still have Jaden Hardy and Josh Green in your back pocket who haven't had great starts to the year so far. If those guys get going, that's where the team gets scary. I mean, you know, you look at their offense, they're second in the league in points, you know, they're first in the league in three-point percentage, they're first in attempts, first in three-pointers made. Like, they're going to shoot a lot of threes and they're going to make a lot of threes, and I think it's sustainable. I think it's sustainable having an offense around Luka where he's doing his thing, having a secondary guy in Kyrie Irving where he's also doing his thing but picking his spots and playmaking when he has to, around 3-and-D guys. And when the 3-and-D guys are making shots, they're scary.
So I'm torn because I love the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I've been like the biggest Minnesota Timberwolves guy. I feel like out there, honestly, because nobody likes
Not
them.
many of them out there.
Nobody likes them. So like I feel like I've been the biggest Minnesota Timberwolves guy. And I want to preface this by saying that I think both of these starts are sustainable. I think like they'll both be great regular season teams. We'll see what happens in the playoffs, but I think these two will be successful in the regular season. As you said in the when we were doing the over-unders, you said a lot of people were saying that this Timberwolves team was built for regular season wins. And this is showing. Like, now it's showing. Now we see what can happen when you have a full season to figure things out. You have a full offseason to put the pieces together, try to figure it out, see how everything fits, and it's working. The defensive rating, you listed all the stats that I would even need to consider putting out there, so I appreciate you for that. They're the best defense in the NBA, and I don't feel like that's going anywhere. Yes, the whole Karl Anthony Towns at the 4 thing is a little worrisome, but we've already seen that Cat's figured out how to play defense next to Rudy Gobert a little bit. It seems like he's improved his perimeter mobility. Gobert is that elite at erasing things at the rim to the point where like teams are not even attempting the frequency at the rim near as much when Rudy Gobert is in the game. Like, the effect of Rudy Gobert, as you said, seems to be back. The fear of Rudy Gobert seems to be back. I don't know what he did this offseason. I don't know what was different, but it seems as though Defensive Player of the Year level Rudy Gobert is fully back and in full effect at the current moment. Outside of that, if I were to list the rest of the players on this roster, I mean, this has the makings of being a defensive juggernaut. I mean, you're talking about one of the best perimeter defenders in the game and the guy who should have been on an all-defensive team last year in Jaden McDaniels. Not to mention Anthony Edwards looks like he's fully bought in on defense. Mike Conley is still a solid point of attack defender, even though he's 45,000 years old.
Accurate.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Anderson, also a good defender, a very heady defender. There aren't many bad defenders on this team in this rotation. So all in all, I think that is sustainable. What I worry about is shooting for this team, all in all. I don't know if the offense is going to be if it's a top half of the league offense with the defense that they're capable of playing, they will be legit. They will be at the top of the standings in the Western Conference, no doubt about it. But I'm not sure how much I actually believe that Anthony Edwards could just put this burden on his back game after game after game. But if Karl Anthony Towns is going to get going, this team is genuinely scary with the two of them. And Rudy Gobert is a role man. But, yeah, I mean, all in all, I like this team a lot. And given that I just said all that, I still think the Mavs' hot start is more sustainable than the Minnesota Timberwolves. But I just wanted to give them the credit where it's due. So
my thing with the Timberwolves is, like, trust me, like, I'm a hater. Everyone knows I'm a hater of, like, Rudy Gobert. That's just how it is. But you got to give credit where credit's due, and they're, you know, forming an identity. Like, the defense is sustainable.
yes.
Normally when teams get to hot starts defensively rather than offensively, it's more sustainable on that end. So the defense is sustainable. Like, we know what Rudy Gobert's capable of. You've two really good, two elite, you know, one's arguably the best perimeter defender in the NBA in Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels. You have another capable guy in Mike Conley. it's just I can't take this team seriously until Cat's off the team. And it's not a Cat thing. I think Cat's a really damn good player, and he provides value to winning basketball. I just don't think it's on this team.
See, my issue with that is you take Cat off the team, right? And I feel like they now don't have that second guy.
So you need
Like, who
the
is
problem
the
with
second
the
guy?
problem with getting rid of Cat is they need a Cat level player
on offense.
on offense. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
So it's going to be hard to get that same production, but from a guy who fits you completely different, if that makes sense.
and shout out Nas Reed, bro. Nas Reed's a hooper.
Yeah, he's good.
That man is a hooper.
Well, right, you trade Cat, you get Nas Reed more minutes, and then you get more depth. Then you get guys that could, still score and shoot the ball, but guys who are more versatile defensively. I don't know who has that, but that's the ideal package. I just don't think Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert could coexist in playoff basketball.
I
would
agree
agree,
with the
yeah.
playoff aspect. I'm with you on that.
Like, I
But-
love Cat. I really do. Cat's a hooper. And even, I was watching the game last night versus the Warriors. There were times where it was like Cat was cooking. Cat had a great game, but down the stretch, likely as he should, he was looking to get the ball in Anthony Edwards' hands, which, obviously you do that, but they're, making him strictly a perimeter player, and I get it. He could shoot. He's, one of the best shooting big men of all time, but Cat has, an inside, he's still a big man, you know what I'm saying? And they're taking him out exclusively on the perimeter. There were times last night where he caught the ball on the three-point line, and it's like, bro, make a move. But also, it's like, you're 7 feet.
What's
you
the
shouldn't
move?
be
Yeah.
out here in the first place.
Yeah.
You should be getting the ball in spots where you could make a move. But there's 6-7 seconds left on the shot clock. He's catching it on the 3-point line, and obviously they're not going to let him shoot. They're all up in that, and he's not even looking to make a move. It's just the ball above his head, looking to make a pass, and he's been better as a passer.
Yes.
I respect that, but you're Karl Anthony Towns. Make a move. It can't be all Ant-Man down the stretch. You know what I mean?
No,
He's
I
great,
agree.
and he's capable of that workload, but that's just not winning basketball. When I look at the Mavericks, it's a lot of the same stuff. Dude standing around while one guy makes a play, but at least the Mavericks have two guys that could do that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I
Mavericks-
agree.
The Mavericks, DJ makes a good point. The Mavericks do have defense issues, though.
They do.
They're near the bottom of the league in, I believe, opponent points per game and 3-point shooting percentage. And, I mean, that stuff you can, we always say defense is an effort thing. So that stuff can be adjusted and can improve over the course of the season. But it is an issue, and it needs to be taken into
I
consideration.
feel like they have the personnel obviously more so this year than they did
Right,
last
of
year
course.
to be at least an average defense. It's more asking the question of which team do I feel like has a better chance of the other side of the ball creeping up to average levels or above average levels. And I feel like I trust the Mavs defense to get to that point with the personnel that they have than I do the Timberwolves offense to get to that point with the personnel that they have. Even though I'm, as I said, the biggest Timberwolves guy. And as I think this is sustainable. I think they'll be great in the regular season. I do just worry come postseason time, how does it work between Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns? But anyways, they've been great on the boards.
Which was a big problem
Which
last
you
year,
expect,
too.
which
Yeah.
was a big problem last year, exactly. They're locking down the paint as they should be with two big men. But Karl Anthony Towns is also, he's been part of the problem in the regard of not getting the ball down low and stuff too. He hasn't finished his layups. He's actually been one of the worst active finishers with a certain number of attempts. I forgot what the exact stat was. But he's towards the bottom of the league right now. In his last 4 games, wow, damn, look at Cat. So inspirational. But yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think they should figure it out offensively. They have definitely tried to include Cat and Rudy Gobert in actions together, which I do like. They're making an effort, and I think they will figure it out all in all. If they do, this is a team that might be a little scary come late in the season, come playoff time too. If Karl Anthony Towns is potentially moving his feet on defense.
Still a Rudy Gobert effect as far as I'm concerned. in the playoffs.
I don't know if it's Rudy, man. I don't know.
I'm not saying Rudy's the problem, but like, you know, I don't know. I just don't think those two next to each other because like Chris said, Cat's a center and they're playing him as if he's a 4.
But I don't think. See, like my fear is that like
That's a problem.
this
like
is a
that,
crazy
yeah.
thing. Like I'm gonna put it like this. I think that I don't know if Cat can play center for a highly successful, like championship level basketball team. Unless
I don't think he can play power forward for them either.
I don't either. Yeah, exactly. I don't think
So-
so either. I agree with you. Unless like he's next to. I'll give you an example. He's next to a guy like Bam. Perfect. Perfect. Then I think like, okay, that's a duo that like is gonna be elite. Which is why like part of me thought that back in the day when Jared Vanderbilt was next to him, I thought that was a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
The two of them. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is tough. But it's working in the regular season right now. Cat seems to have hit his stride, and T-Wolves will ride this as far as they
I
can.
just feel like the gripe with Rudy Gobert led defenses in the playoffs in the past was, he doesn't have good perimeter defense around him, and now he's getting dragged out of the paint and getting picked on. But like with Cat at the 4, I feel like that's a guy that you could clearly pick on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
the same problems come up. Like it's just
exactly. It's the Rudy Gobert effect.
Yeah, I get it. It's tough. I do think
Rudy, like, don't get me wrong. Like, Rudy has been great this year. He's probably the defensive player of the year right
To
now.
this
Like,
point,
he's
yeah.
anchoring the best defense in the NBA. But we've seen the blueprint on how to get past the Rudy Gobert-led defense in the past. Whether that was his fault or not, we've seen the blueprint. So I think the blueprint's kind of writing itself for how to beat the Timberwolves team.
so. That's what I was about to ask. What do we even think is a Karl Anthony Towns looking like trade? I don't know where the destinations would be. Trincali's been trying
Well,
to
you
push for the Knicks.
Yeah, I don't want
Which
that
I don't
anymore.
want.
I used to want, but I don't want that anymore. You mentioned Bam Adebayo, and it made me think maybe Memphis. Put him next to Triple J. I mean, their
That-
half-court offense is terrible.
Would be cool. That would be really cool. But in a similar regard, I mean, Jaren is more mobile than Rudy, but in a similar regard, both those dudes will struggle a little bit on the perimeter.
Yeah,
But
but
yes,
it might
I
be
see
worth
what you
it
mean.
to
Yeah.
if it fixes
And he
your
can
offense.
space the floor.
Yeah.
Jaren can
Next
space the
to
floor
next
too.
to one of those dudes who's like a roamer rather than
Yeah,
like Rudy's
exactly.
an elite drop rim protector.
Next to a
you know?
Draymond.
Yeah.
Would be beautiful.
Evan Mobley.
Yes.
Like something like that.
Yes. But
It's a lot
that's
to
the
ask,
thing.
but-
That's-
Yeah.
We're talking about specific scenarios here. And how many teams are actually built to have that?
Yeah, Cat is a very
And
niche
you
player.
know damn well he ain't going to the fucking Heat. Because
I think
Jimmy
the
ain't kicking that
Cavs could
shit.
be, I think the Cavs could be realistic if they could find a third team for Jared Allen.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see
I
that
agree
for
with
sure.
That yes, I do agree with
Because the
that.
Cavs are struggling as of
Him and Donovan are
the
boys
start
too,
of the
right?
season. Yeah, I think
Are
so.
they? Am I thinking of someone else?
Um,
Oh no, him and Booker are boys. Cat
Yeah.
and Booker
Are friends.
Yeah.
From
Yeah,
Kentucky
maybe.
days.
Yeah. Okay.
They're-
Yeah, the
good
Cavs are
friends from the
Cavs are
Kentucky
4-6 right now. So
I don't even think it's possible if the Suns could get him.
Oh Christ.
That'd be hilarious though. They wouldn't be playing no fucking defense over there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where Cat could get traded. I don't know what the role players would look like to come back in a Cat trade. But I just don't think a team that like this, if they get rid of Cat, like who's your number 2 now? Like it's Anthony
Exactly.
Edwards or
That's the whole thing is like you have to get, like I said, you have to get a Cat level talent. You can't just get like future
that
assets
just fits better.
or like I don't think you need depth pieces. You need a second reliable scorer behind Anthony Edwards, for sure.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with this team too. But it's tough. But hey, they're gonna ride this out for as long as they can.
Yeah, I mean,
They're
if
gonna be
Cat's
successful.
giving him 25 a game on efficiency like that, it's gonna be hard to
Hard to stick
pass.
with this.
Yeah, hard to pass him off. You know.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right.
I'm gonna move the camera as we transition.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
Who we got up next? Who else we want to speak about?
Believe we're taking a trip down south, right?
Go for it. Intro us.
Oh, intros? Okay. The next team we're going to talk about here is going to be the Houston Rockets. The Rockets have gotten off to a good start. I mean, for sure. I'm just marking down the timestamp.
6-3.
6-3, yeah. And the additions they've made have been very, very good additions. not just that those guys are playing well, but they're making the guys around them play well. I mean, I'll start us off here. Their defense has been really good. They're number one in fast break points per game defensively, so they're getting out and running on defense. They're third in overall opponent points per game. They're first in opponent assists per game, which tells me they're playing very good help defense out there. They don't turn the ball over that much. And I think Fred being that playmaker has helped Jalen Green. We were talking about it before the show. Jalen Green has had some bad games, but overall he's had more good games than bad for sure. He just needs to get that jumper going from outside, man. If he can be like I don't know what his percentage is. You were looking at it before.
No,
right?
this is just funny because like you're right. Like these are his last 5 games: 4 for 10, 5 for 9, 11 for 15, 7 for 18, 1 for 13.
Exactly, yeah. So, and he has a game like this first or second game of the season where he had a really bad game too. So the numbers aren't telling the whole story.
But that's been the Jalen Green problem.
Exactly, yeah. That has been the
Jalen
problem
Green
with
problem.
Jalen Green. Fred VanVleet has been a great playmaker for them. I mean, he's a shot chucker. We all know that about Fred. But one guy that was a shot chucker that doesn't look so much like it anymore, Dylan Brooks, man. Like I said, I think 55% he's shooting on the season. And the past few games, I was looking at the numbers last night, he's shot like 6 shots, 7 shots. And he's giving you the defense that we know Dylan Brooks can bring. He's still got that edge to him, which Houston really needed, I think. And Baby Yoke, bro. Baby Yoke he's a baller. Şengün has probably been the best player on this team. And
So Dylan Brooks is currently shooting 53.3% from 3.
yeah, that's
On low volume, 3.3 attempts
Right.
per game. But that's perfect.
that's what you need. You need him to be able to hit the shots he takes.
And he's not taking these stupid ass
Yeah,
mid-range
exactly.
jumpers anymore. He's
Yeah.
kind of removed that from his game.
So yeah, Houston's gotten off to a great start. How bought in are we on the Houston Rockets start?
So I think Fred was the steadying presence they needed offensively. I think Şengün is I think that jump is legit.
Yeah.
I've been like clamoring for this to happen. I've been saying it's going to happen. Finally, like he's averaging 19, 8, and 6. We knew he was a talented passer at center. The sets that they run for him, it all looks good. It does. It looks really good. Jalen Green needs to figure out this consistency. He's shooting 40% from 3 on 5 attempts per game, though. So the 3-point shot's fallen. It's just he's always struggled to finish at the rim, and that seems to still be an issue. He's too athletic for his own good in a weird way. Fred VanVleet, as I said, steadying presence on offense, and then you got the steadying presence on defense in Dylan Brooks. He gave this Houston Rockets team an edge, which they needed. And I feel like we were the main people saying it all off season. The hate on Dylan Brooks was ridiculous. Because yes, he has his flaws as a basketball player.
He's an asshole. Like
But we were like,
no doubt about it.
He's not a bad human being.
No,
He's not a bad
no,
human
he's
being.
not. But he's an asshole.
He's a shit talker, and he is a problem starter. He loves that shit. He tries to start problems, and I absolutely love that about Dylan Brooks. And he, as I said, he gave a young team an edge.
Yeah.
Him and Fred VanVleet came in here, gave them veteran presence, and gave them a legitimate edge. I'm not saying that they're going to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference all year, but I do buy that they are a playoff team. I genuinely do. There isn't like a crazy amount of talent on this team, but there's enough for me to believe that this shit is sustainable. Jabari Smith has just been playing a role. He's just been playing a role. And I think this is perfect. The way that this is structured right now, I think it's perfect. Of course, Amen Thompson got hurt. He's missed quite a few games, but I mean, I love what I'm seeing out of these guys. I really do. So, big shout out to the Houston Rockets, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, we mentioned Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet coming over and, being that veteran presence for the 6-3 Rockets. And, I've watched one Rockets game this year versus the Warriors where Steph Curry, picked up the ball. Yeah. But being transparent with you guys, there's 30 teams. We're not watching every single team yet. We'll get around to it.
Man.
But the two stats that really stand out to me are turnover percentage. The Rockets are the 4th lowest in the league at a 12.9%. And assist to turnover ratio, the Rockets are also 4th with a 2.0 even. So what that tells me is they're not making mistakes. And, you look at their assist leaders. Obviously, you mentioned Sengun averaging 6 assists as a center is crazy in its own right. But you look at a guy in Fred VanVleet who's averaging 8 assists with 1.7 turnovers per game. And then you look at the three-point shooting. They're 7th in the league in three-point percentage at 37%. And you have multiple guys shooting, above league average, 36%. You have Dylan Brooks, like you said, shooting 53%. You have Tari Eason, who just got back, who's shooting 43%. I don't know if that's sustainable, but it is what it is. You have Jalen Green, who, shooting 5 attempts per game. Like, that's not nothing. That's a good amount of attempts per game. He's shooting an even 40%. Obviously, I mentioned Fred, 36.8. Jabari Smith is shooting 36%. Jeff Green's shooting 36%.
That's another veteran presence.
Even Aaron Holiday is shooting 33%, which the defense that Aaron Holiday brings, you'll take 33% from 3. I mean, their defense is incredible so far this year. They're holding opponents to the 3rd lowest points per game. Their defensive rating is 4th in the league at a 108.1. Like, they're really putting it together, and it's, the Ime Udoka effect, it's the Dylan Brooks effect, it's the Fred VanVleet effect. These veterans and this coach came in and changed the culture. I don't know how sustainable it is. I don't think they're a playoff team, like a top 6 seed. Can they sneak into the play-in?
Just so hard.
That's what
I think they can sneak into
just
the play-in.
so hard in the West, man.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But there are some teams in the West that are falling off right now.
Yeah.
So, like, there's the worst team in the NBA right now in the Western Conference. Well, actually, second worst. The Detroit Pistons are 2-10. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I mean, it's open. They might have an opportunity here to sneak themselves in. So, but of course, you have to expect some positive regression from guys like from teams like the Phoenix Suns, the New Orleans Pelicans. Like, those teams will get right. Golden State Warriors are only 6-6 at this current moment. But yeah, I mean, we've kind of seen the West hierarchy trying to shape up a little bit, and I think things will be pretty solid for the Houston Rockets. I think a play-in.
They could totally get in there. Yeah.
Play-in opportunity will definitely be there. But yeah,
I gotta move this camera again.
go for it.
Perfect.
Bothers me when it's
Another
not.
transition. We said all we need to say about the Rockets, right?
Yeah, I think we're good on the Houston Rockets right now.
So, talk about positive regression, and the next team we're going to talk about needs it, man. The Clippers. It is not looking good out there right now. It's rough out there. It's been
James
rough.
Harden's playing himself into shape
James Harden is playing himself
out of the NBA.
Out of the NBA, yeah. I don't care.
what he's doing.
I don't care what shape he's. I don't care if he's a square, circle. It don't matter. He's out. I'll rattle off some numbers here too. Harden, 13.5, 5 rebounds, 4 assists since joining the Clippers. I don't have the splits, but they're probably not great. With Harden off the court, their plus minus is plus 19. With him on the court, it's minus 67. Really bad. Really, really bad. Clippers have scored 1.32 points per possession. I'm sorry, with Harden out versus 0.82 when he's in. That was just against the Grizzlies, which are one of the worst teams in the league right now.
Yep.
In that same game, they've given up 1.32 points on defense versus 0.72 with him out. They're a far better team when he's off the floor, and it's a real problem. And Harden got there, and what did he say? He said, "I don't play in a system. I am the system." Well, you're a shitty system. It's
The worst system at the current moment.
It's just not good, man. And it's, he was talking about how it's a chemistry thing. They'll get it going, which there's definitely some truth to that.
Yeah.
He just got there. He's not in shape. He hasn't played much basketball in the offseason probably. He's still learning he's still going through it. But when you watch Harden play, the things that make James Harden great, seem like they're not there anymore. He doesn't have a quick burst anymore. He doesn't draw fouls the way he used to. His playmaking seems to have taken a hit because he's not playing with dominant center Embiid versus having to create plays on the perimeter. It's just, it's not good, man. And I imagine it's got to get better. But because what are they, 0-6 with him since making the trade? 0-5 with him, 0-6 since making the trade.
They've lost 6 games, yeah.
The other thing is, like, the assets they gave up to get him are things they need. They're smaller and weaker up in the front court now, and it's not good, bro. It's really bad.
So, real quick before I let you go, Chris, 113.8 offensive rating, 12th in the NBA, 112.3 defensive rating, 13th in the NBA. Their overall net rating is a plus 1.5. They're positive still on the season, and they're 3-7. Their expected win-loss is currently 5-5, and they're 3-7. So there's been some bad luck here, but at the same time, what's pissed me off the most is that Russell Westbrook will be playing well towards like the end of games.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Ty Lue just feels the need to sub him out for James Harden when it's so clear that the lineup that's in is working and you should ride it out and figure out the James Harden stuff earlier in games. You want to win these games still. I understand you want Harden to get accustomed and have it all work out with him and at the end of games and stuff, but bro, close with your best lineup. You still need to win basketball games in the West right now.
Yeah.
That's that.
I mean, yeah, I think me in particular, I underestimated how much depth the Clippers gave up. You know,
Yeah.
we could talk about James Harden not being good, but everyone's talking about that. That's obvious. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that James Harden's struggling. But you look at the game last night. I mean, they went small against Jokic, and the Nuggets closed that game just giving Jokic, you know, clear out post ups and just letting him go to work and play make and score. And, you know, could have put Zubac back in, but would Zubac have made much of a difference? I don't know, because he was getting killed all night anyway.
Yes, he was.
And Ty Lue, like, it's like, all right, like, Ty Lue, what's wrong with you? Why would you go small against Jokic? But also, what other choice does he have?
Yeah. Mason Plumlee's injured.
Right. He has no other choices. I mean, I think it came out this morning that
Tice just signed there.
and that he told Bones Highland he's no longer a part of the rotation for the foreseeable future. But I mean, you just have all these guys who want to get theirs. Paul George, Kawhi, Westbrook, Harden,
Bro,
even
Paul
Norman
George
Powell.
wedgie was mad
Oh my
funny.
God,
That's the most Paul George shit. Yeah.
Clippers and Paul George
That
thing
was so
you ever
funny,
could have
man.
seen.
And it's just like down, like especially last night, down the stretch of these games, you have a chance to win, and you have all this offensive talent, and the offense down the stretch is everyone's stand. And I know that's, you know, just kind of how the NBA is down the stretch of games. It's a lot of iso ball, but I mean, there was no movement. I mean, specifically James Harden. I was specifically locked in on James Harden. I wanted to see how he would do off the ball. He's really just standing there. He's not a threat at all. The defense is not worried about him whatsoever off the ball, and it's a concern. I don't know how the Clippers fix this. Like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, oh, it'll just take some time, but I don't know what time's gonna solve.
So you have to think like the standing there and all that. I mean, we know who Ty Lue is as a coach. He's been regarded as one of the better coaches in the league. That has to be somewhat of a chemistry problem, that these guys just don't know how to. That Harden doesn't know how to play with these guys, and they don't know how to play with him. You got to,
obvious.
yeah, you have to assume that should, again, it's obviously going to get better, but getting better isn't what they need. They needed to get good. They needed to get really good. So in terms of them being, of it becoming that good to where they can make a championship run, because we all know that's what they're trying to do, that's almost out the window already. And as far as that goes, I don't know how it's going to get to that level. But the only reason it's going to get better is because it can't get worse.
Yeah, and I'll just hop in here and say that I thought Russell Westbrook was playing great prior to the James Harden trade, to be entirely honest. I think he was filling a role that they definitely needed him to fill. He was pushing the ball in transition. They obviously had the perimeter defense with all the wings that they had. I like that they signed Daniel Tice. Do I think he's great? No, but they needed some sort of big man help at this point with Mason Plumlee injured. They force a hell of a lot of turnovers, might I add, too. They lead the league in steals per game. And I think it will be okay. I think it will somewhat work out because, you know, there's too much talent on this team not to. They'll win. They'll end up going on a very hot streak very soon, I would assume. Turn everybody's opinions on them around. And I'm still going to sit here and feel the same way about this trade. I don't think they're championship contenders because man, like, I don't see how it works long term. Harden doesn't do shit off the ball, as you said. Russ doesn't have – he had some great cuts in this game, might I add, and great passes.
He does what he can off the ball.
He does try off the ball. I think Terrence Mann should not be the odd man out in closing lineups. I think Russell Westbrook shouldn't be the odd man out in closing lineups. As I said before, it should be James Harden until proven otherwise. That simple. Norman Powell's been great this year as well, and he's been missing out on some opportunities and minutes here. I know that we have a hierarchy of guys that need to get shots. I get that. But Harden needs to be the one sacrificing.
He needs to
Paul
earn it.
George and Kawhi need to be getting as many looks as possible. And they need to run sets towards the end of games. Because there have been good things that I've seen throughout games, like from the start of games, where they're running sets for these guys. Harden is just playing point guard, dishing the ball, facilitating, and I think that's a role he still could very capably play. He smoked a really bad layup, might I add, at the end of that Denver game.
Mm-hmm.
He beat Jokic like pretty bad off the dribble and just smoked an open layup. I think Harden will be better. His shooting percentages look great. 47% from the field, 37% from three. It's not like he's been necessarily bad in terms of shooting the ball. It's just it doesn't look like it works. It really doesn't right now. And I think time will bring that to the surface. I think Harden will play himself into shape, as he said, and I think they will somewhat figure it out. But I don't think they're going to be good enough to win an NBA championship. I don't see it. So that's where I stand with this team. I think there's just too many flaws. And my biggest question was, how does Russell Westbrook and James Harden work? And the answer is they don't, because they take them off the court and they don't play them much together. So, especially down the stretch of games.
Yeah, so Harden is still getting like superstar treatment as far as that is concerned, where he doesn't need to, like I said, earn shots and earn the ball in his hands. He just gets it. And that's a problem when it's so clear that he doesn't fit this team. You have to acclimate him. He's just not that plug and play player anymore. So, yeah, some serious on the court adjustments need to be made for this Clippers team.
I think there were good signs last night. So I think there will be, like, as I said, there's going to be a win streak coming. I could tell you right now, teams like this, there's going to be a long win streak coming where they'll win like 6 or 7 games in a row and people will be like, holy shit, like here come the Clippers. And I'll probably be the same way. I'll probably sit here and be like, yo, they're legit. They're championship contenders, even though I just said they're not. But, yeah, I mean, look, I got to see something legit to change my opinion at this point.
Yeah.
Because this team
a lot of ball left.
Falling off a little bit. So, yeah, that's where I stand with this team at the current moment. All right, what other teams do we want to cover? Oh, we wanted to go up to Philly.
Oh, yeah, we want to go
After
up to
that,
Philly.
We wanted to go over to Philly.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were talking about hot starts to the season right before talking about this whatever's happening in LA. And we wanted to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers because I owe them an apology. I do. I said that they were going to be the 5th seed and that it would take a little bit of a fall off without Harden. But instead, Nick Nurse has, to this point, I think, been the coach of the year. The stuff that they've done offensively with this team, they're getting out in transition, I think, at the best rate in the entire league.
Yeah.
Because, Tyrese Maxey will do that. By the way, the shit with Kelly Oubre is just so upsetting. Get well soon,
Yeah, man.
Kelly.
For sure.
Because he was having such a phenomenal season to this point. So I hope he comes back very healthy and right back to where he left off. But all in all, Tyrese Maxey's been great. Tobias Harris has been playing really well. And Joel Embiid is, still Joel Embiid. And that seems to be good enough to win this team a bunch of games. And I think it will be. I think, crazy enough, this is the best Philly team that Joel Embiid has had. I don't know if that's an insane statement. I think this is the best Philadelphia team that Joel Embiid has had, or the best fitting Philadelphia team that Joel Embiid has had. Because, he had Jimmy Butler, he had J.J. Redick, he had that team over there. But all in all, I think this is the best fit that Joel has had throughout his career so far.
So the thing about Maxey is, what did everyone say? His volume's going to go up, his efficiency is going to go down. It hasn't. His volume has skyrocketed, and his efficiency is right about where it's been. I mean, he's at like 28 a game, 7 assists. He's one of, if not the best transition players in the league. They're the best transition team in the league, as you mentioned. Toby Harris been balling out. my thing about Embiid is I think he's been so dominant offensively over the last season and this season, that people are forgetting how great of a defender he is. Like, legitimately one of the best defenders in the NBA. And when I was looking at their defensive rankings, nothing stood out, but Joel Embiid himself is just like, he's always in the right place. He always makes a great play. And his offense, obviously, he's still dominant. I think he's averaging over 30 and 11, something like that.
33, 12, and 6.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 6 is crazy.
Yeah, because Nick Nurse has empowered him more as a playmaker.
Yeah, man, and that's really what you wanted from Embiid. You wanted him to make some sort of adjustment, because I've always said in the playoffs it seems Embiid is just the same guy, and he doesn't really,
he struggled with double teams.
Yeah, struggled double teams for sure, and would take a lot of bad shots and things like that. But if Nick Nurse can change that, then yeah, this Philly team's definitely legit. They're a great team, but they're on another level.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really surprised. I had them as my third
You
seed.
did, yeah.
This is kind of exactly what I thought would happen. Like I said, a few weeks ago, Joel Embiid's good enough to win regular season games by himself. And then you have a guy like Tyrese Maxey, where this jump was almost inevitable. I don't think anyone saw it being this amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't think I just don't think this efficiency is sustainable on that volume. But, we'll see. At 28's wild.
28's
28's wild. 28's like pushing it a little bit. Like maybe 25.
Yeah.
Maybe 25, but 28's pushing it. But, if Tyrese Maxey's playing at an all-star level, that's really all you need next to Joel Embiid to compete. You have some other good role players here and there to fill in the voids. But if you've Joel Embiid and you have a really good number 2 option at that guard position, then you're right in the mix. It really just, I hate to be lazy, but the analysis for the Sixers for me is none of this shit matters until the playoffs.
Right.
Like, I could care less.
Yeah, so as soon as you just said they're still not making it past the second round. Like that's what we
props
need to see.
Tyrese Maxey, and I don't want to undermine what he's doing to start the season, but just the situation he's in and the team he's on, I really don't give a shit till the playoffs.
Yeah.
I really don't care.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tyrese Maxey.
I think the biggest beneficiary, aside, like obviously Tyrese Maxey, but Tobias Harris, because this team is getting out in transition, is getting a lot easier looks. Getting mismatches, taking notice of mismatches, and just all in all, playing a great brand of basketball right now. I mean, he's averaging 20 on just 13 shots per game. So, I mean, this is arguably the best version of Tobias Harris we've seen as well. And that's a big thing for this team, because if you could find a semblance of consistency with Toby, then this team could do some things in the playoffs as well. But yeah, obviously we just need to see them get past the second round, and we say are 2 juggernauts in the East. One is a little iffy at the current moment.
Yeah.
We say there are 2 juggernauts in the East, and it'd be incredibly tough for them to end up getting past them. But all in all, I mean, big shout out to Tobias Harris, and Tyrese Maxey has just been on another planet as a whole. So yeah, there's some ballers in Philly, and there's more depth than I feel like they've had in the past as well. Obviously, with the trade that they ended up making, Nick Batum has been awesome since stepping foot in Philly. Robert Covington hasn't really played all that much, but he'll still provide defense when you need him to. But Pat Bev and DeAnthony Melton are 2 guys that just play their role, and DeAnthony Melton is arguably I wouldn't say the best, but he's a top 5 point of attack defender in the entire NBA, and that goes unsaid. So Melton's been great playmaking wise. He's 36.7% from 3 on 5 attempts per game. I'd say I'd take that
for what
from
he
a guy
takes
with that great
defensively.
Who's that great defensively. So yeah, I mean, all in all, just the pieces are fitting, and these guys play hard for Nick Nurse right now. So I think that was the biggest shift overall. And he loves to play his guys heavy minutes, might I add. 38 minutes per game for Tyrese Maxey, 36.5 for Toby, 34 for Joel Embiid. Yeah, these boys are
38 for Maxey, and him running the floor the way he does is just
he's a ball of energy.
That's the most underrated part of probably any NBA player, is the sheer stamina that takes.
Yep.
Man,
ridiculous.
That's unbelievable.
So, but yeah, that's how I feel about Philly. I think this is
Philly's
sustainable.
Philly,
I mean,
Philly's
they're
definitely
third in the
sustainable.
league in points per game, 12th in opponents' points, 3rd in offensive rating, and 9th in defensive rating. 2nd overall in the entire league in net rating, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, I think this is legit. These boys are for real. And Philly fans show out. If you're good, Philly fans love
They'll
you.
let you know.
Philly fans love you. So yeah. What's are there any other teams that we want to specifically speak about?
Well, Sleazy asked which Tyrese has impressed us more. I feel like I said it before the show.
Want to talk about
I feel like
Yo, wait, can we make that into a TikTok? Could
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
do a hook for that?
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
which Tyrese has impressed you more, Maxey or Halliburton? I don't know if you want to put the Maxey or Halliburton
Yeah,
part, but I
yeah,
threw it
yeah.
in there anyway. So hang on, I'll mark that down. Okay. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I feel like by default we kind of have to pick Halliburton because we all were just pretty low on him. Like like I said, none of us had him on our top 10 point guards, and this guy is like single-handedly carrying, not single-handedly, but he's carrying one of the best offenses, maybe the best offense in the NBA. I mean, they're
No. They are.
they are the best.
One of the greatest offenses of all time.
Yeah, no, they are the best offense in the
Which is
NBA. I'm
crazy
looking at
enough.
the numbers right now. It's crazy. They're first in points per game, first in assists per game, first in effective field goal percentage, second in three-point percentage, second in two-point percentage. It's unreal. Like they are just, and they're 29th in opponent points per game. So they're probably the most fun team to watch
First
in the NBA
in the
right
league
now.
in assists.
Yeah.
3rd to last in the league in turnovers.
Exactly. Yeah. So they are the only like issue with the Pacers is when Halliburton's not on the floor. They have an 8.4 net rating when he's on the floor, and a negative 1.2 with him off the floor. So they're if they're going to be a legit team, they're going to have to figure that issue out. But I mean, Tyrese Halliburton, he's been unreal. He's been clutch down the stretch of games. And what did we say? 32 assists, 58 points and 32 assists straight without a turnover.
Yep.
I mean, that's insane. For no guard does that. No point guard does that. And then carrying the best offense in the league. Like it's just, it's unreal what they're getting done out there, and particularly what he's doing out there.
Yeah, I mean, the Pacers' main issue is just their defense. They're
Right.
3rd to last in the NBA in defensive rating, so that's kind of the big issue here. But all in all, I mean, what Halliburton am I more impressed with? Bro,
What
if
Halliburton?
you just take a look at, I mean, what Halliburton? There's only one.
Halliburton.
What Tyrese am I more impressed with? It's most definitely Tyrese Halliburton. I just keep fucking this up. Jesus Christ. I'm more impressed with Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, if you look at the splits here, 52.8% from the field, 43.6% from three. He's averaging 25 points per game, 12.5 assists per game, and only 2.1 turnovers.
That's not normal.
12.5 to 2.1. That's a 6-to-1 ratio.
6-to-1 ratio,
Which is ridiculous.
so abnormal.
When he has the ball as much as he does. And it's absolutely insane to me that the guy has a 24.8 usage rate, which isn't even like the most ridiculous thing ever either. There's nothing offensively that he can't do anymore. For him to be as efficient as he is shooting the three ball too on 7.8 attempts per game, just unreal. And not to mention the Pacers are currently 7-4, which is unbelievable in and of itself. A team that we didn't expect. Well, I didn't expect to be all this good. I don't know if it's sustainable. That's my only issue, as I said, because this defense has been as atrocious as it has been.
Yeah.
But bro, this Pacers, for Tyrese Halliburton to be doing the things that he is currently doing as the best player on the team, it's unreal. He's different.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrese definitely deserves a ton of credit. I mean, he's averaging 26 and 12. Like, that's not normal. But the thing that I'm most impressed with is just how perfectly constructed this roster is around a guy like Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, you look at these stats, they're first in the league in field goal attempts. They're first in the league in field goal makes. They're second in the league in pace, first in the league in offensive rating, like you said, second in the league in three-point percentage, second in the league in two-point percentage, and third in the league in terms of lowest turnovers. So they're getting up and down, and they're getting shots up, and you look at their personnel, you have a guy like Buddy Hield, who's a sniper. You have Miles Turner, who could stretch the floor as a 5. You have a guy like Benedict Mathurin, who's going to get shots up. You have a guy like Bruce Brown, who loves to get up and down in transition. Same with Obi Toppin. Like, you just have this perfect construction of guys to have an elite, high-powered offense that gets up and down in an instant. So it's been fun to watch. I mean, like you said, they can't defend for shit, but they're gonna score that rock, man.
They have so many guys that are shooting, getting up three-pointers for sure. Buddy Hield, 7.8 attempts, 37.2% from three. 5 attempts from your center, 39.6% from three. Benedict Matherin's getting up 4. He's not shooting incredibly efficiently. But Aaron Nesmith, 4.5 attempts per game, 46% from three at the current moment. And shout out our guy, Obi Toppin, man, averaging 11 points per game there, shooting 62% from the field. What a wonder it is when you put him in the right role.
Yeah.
But yeah, all in all, just this team is ridiculous. It is very perfectly constructed around Tyrese. I will say there's one thing they definitely need to do, and that is go get perimeter defense somehow, some way. If that is trade for OG, potentially,
Yeah, they have holes as a team. I wasn't saying they're a perfect team. They're just perfectly constructed
for Tyrese
in terms of offense around an engine like Tyrese.
Yes, I agree. So I asked, do we think this is sustainable?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I think seeing what the Kings did last year, I think I could see the Pacers doing something like that. You know, like the Kings were historically good offensively last year. I think Tyrese is that good, man.
Yeah,
like
they're deep and they're hungry to get into the playoffs, like the Kings were last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of the other teams, the Lakers, let's say the Suns, were playing to just to get there, but the Kings were, meant a little bit more. I feel like that could be applied to the Pacers team. Like you said, Tyrese is that guy, bro. He's, I don't know how it's going to look in a playoff scenario. I got to see that. But in terms of regular season play, Tyrese is going to, lead his team to putting up a lot of points and a lot of points fast. So I think that's sustainable for the regular season.
Yeah.
And they're deep, too.
Yes, they are. This is the crazy part. They have, with guys that have played 5 or more games, they have 11 people averaging more than 13 minutes per game.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they're deep. We didn't even mention Aaron Nesmith and Jalen Smith.
No, I did. I gave Aaron Nesmith his 46% from 3 credit. Jalen Smith, another guy, 9 games this season, 16 minutes per game, shooting 67% on 1.7 attempts from 3. Yeah, they got some players there. Like, they're a solid-ass team.
They can go get Anunoby.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
You get OG, bro. This is a team that, like, you definitely don't want to play in the playoffs in a first-round series. So, but yeah, all right. I think there's one other thing that we definitely wanted to talk about, no?
It's 2.
2?
We'll start with Miami and then...
Okay, yes.
That's perfect.
Honestly,
because
it's a perfect transition.
Nick's in here, too. My boy Nick Perez is in the chat.
What up, Nick?
Big Miami Heat fan.
Hello, Nick. I think that's also a perfect transition because we will be able to get to the person that we're going to speak about.
Yeah.
While speaking about the Miami Heat. All right, so Miami Heat, what is it, a 6-game win streak now? After starting the season off pretty slow, the Miami Heat are now 7-4. They look really good. Bam Adebayo looks like the best player on the team currently, which is, I feel like, something that we've been waiting to happen for quite a long time. Bam has put this team on his back in a way. Obviously, Jimmy Butler's still great. Tyler Hero, a good player, but Bam averaging 23, 10.5, and 3.8 points per game so far this year on 52.5% shooting. This is the best Bam Adebayo we've seen so far. The best version of him that we've seen, and it's quite obvious. I mean, granted, I will say that the Miami Heat currently have a negative 0.1 net rating, which is a bit of a problem. But all in all, they are currently the 9th best defensive team in the NBA. And as I said, Bam is doing his thing on the offensive side of the ball right now. What are our thoughts on the Miami Heat and their hot start?
So it's kind of what we said about the Heat before the season. I know I was pretty low on the Heat. I believe you two were about just as low on the Heat.
I said they were the 7.
Yeah, around there. But they just find a way to get production out of guys who don't belong, giving them this production. So Jaime Jaquez has looked really good, like a really good draft pick. His last 4 games, he's had 17, 11, 20, and 11. 11's not crazy, but like you
For
didn't
him?
even really expect this guy to be in the rotation yet. I mean, Haywood Highsmith is, I believe, starting at power forward for them right now, and he's been really good for them. And it's just like on different teams, those guys probably don't play this well.
Yeah.
But there is a concern. Tyler Hero is going to miss a couple weeks with an ankle sprain, so they could cool down a bit. But yeah, as you said, Bam Adebayo has taken this offensive leap that we've been waiting for him to take. And I mean, if he can sustain that, then Jimmy Butler can coast for the regular season once again. They're not a team you want to see in the first round of the playoffs yet again. And if Hero can get healthy, he'll get healthy at some point. But because he's been playing really well too.
Yeah, he's missed. What has he missed? The last couple games. Right?
Yeah. So is it sustainable? It's so hard because you look at this Heat roster and you're like, yeah, it still doesn't look great, but they find a way to get things done. So I guess it is sustainable. Like I said, if Bam can play at this level, sure, why not? Why not them?
Yeah. Jimmy Butler, man. His last few games have been pretty damn solid as well. I mean, he's playing the most efficient basketball of his career in terms of three-point shooting, which is kind of crazy. 50% from three for Jimmy Butler so far this year. But on how many attempts? That's my question. I haven't watched much of the Miami Heat, to be entirely honest. I haven't really watched much Miami Heat basketball. So for them to be on the win streak that they are recently, I mean, props to them. Chris, what are your thoughts on Miami so far? How do you feel about them?
I mean, the Heat just keep finding a way. You know, Jimmy Butler's been okay so far this year. I mean, over their 6-game win streak, he's averaging 22.8. Like, he's been all right. You know, he's had some good games, he's had some bad games, but it's Bam Adebayo who looks like he's taken another leap, and I don't want to get ahead of myself yet because Bam Adebayo always shows us things and then kind of takes a little step back and then shows us those things again. It's just a little bit inconsistent, but over the 6-game win streak, I mean, 23.5 points, 12.2 rebounds, 4.7 assists, and I mean, that's been the biggest improvement so far this year for me. You know, looking at Bam, and the assist numbers don't jump out the page. Like 4.7 is good.
Yeah.
For a center, it's really
good,
really
yeah.
solid. But his playmaking is just so much deeper than his assist numbers.
Yeah.
Just his ability to, you know, be a hub in terms of the dribble handoff game and bolster up some guys around him. I mean, you look at the 6-game win streak. You mentioned Tommy Hawkins has been great for them. Duncan Robinson's been exceptional
Yes, I was
for
about
them.
He's
to
changed
say
his
that.
game completely.
16 points per game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists for Duncan
Yeah,
Robinson.
I mean, you know, you even have Haywood Highsmith who's given them some good minutes. Kyle Lowry over the past 6 has been really good for them. And we know what the Heat are going to do. They're going to be gritty on the defensive end. They're going to really get after you. On the offensive end, they're going to take their time. It's going to be a slow pace. A lot of things are going to go through Bam and Jimmy, and then the other guys are just going to, you know, get up some threes. Some nights they'll make them, some nights they won't, and they'll live and die like that. But I think Bam is just showing right now that there's another level he could get to in terms of his offensive load. Pause, because, you know, what was Bam last year? I'm not even going to look it up off the top of my head. I'll just say in terms of points and assists, I'll say it was like 19.8 points and 3.2 assists.
I think he was averaging over 20, but I'll double check.
Yeah,
that right
double
now.
check it.
He averaged 20.4, 9 rebounds, 3 assists.
So, yeah, about 3 assists and about 19, 20 points. There's a big difference between 20 points and 3 assists and 24. We'll round up for him because it's at 0.5, basic laws of rounding.
Over his last 6.
25 and 5.
Yeah.
24 and 5, my apologies.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between 24 and 5 and 20 and 3. You know, that's 10 points potentially that's on the board.
Yeah.
So Bam showing there's another level he could reach in terms of the load he could carry offensively. I think that's only going to help this Heat team, especially in terms of regular season games where, you know, we know Jimmy Butler likes to
He don't give a
take
fuck.
games off and, you know, not always put his best effort out there during the regular season. So Bam showing he can handle this load is only going to help the Heat team and, you know, lead them to potentially getting a higher seed in the playoffs than we all thought.
And when Hero gets healthy, he was having
They're
a
gonna
phenomenal season.
They're going to get Caleb Martin back, too, at some point. He hasn't
Yeah.
even played this season.
Yeah.
Nah, he played.
He played the
one
first
I
game,
think.
and he got hurt.
played
I don't know.
one
I don't
game,
know
think.
what his timeline is, but he's gonna come back at some point.
I also think a pretty decently underrated addition is Josh Richardson back on this team too. I mean, that was a solid move. Haywood Highsmith's been great for them. As we said, Duncan Robinson just unbelievable, averaging 16 in his last 6, 4 and 4, which is stuff that you don't expect out of Duncan Robinson.
He just
either.
like it's the numbers and it's the way he plays. Like he's getting to the basket,
Yes.
he's handling the ball much, but he's not just a spot up shooter anymore. And that opens up so much for you from a team that lacks so much shot
and
creation.
he draws so much attention.
Yeah,
just because of the fact that he can get hot in a split
yeah,
second.
exactly.
And that's huge for them. Not to mention, like, as you said, Jimmy just takes games off, bro. You need these other guys.
Yeah.
You need these other guys to play their ass off, and hopefully Tyler Hero gets healthy. Him being that number, you could argue a lot of nights the number 1 shot creator for this team. That's huge for them. Shooting 45 from the field, 41 from 3, like that's huge for them. So
Yeah, I think we as a collective on this podcast underrated Tyler Hero
Yes.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
And not just Tyler Hero the player, but underrated Tyler Hero's importance to this team. Because our thing with the Heat all offseason was they lost this, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, and they didn't replace it. And we, I think as a collective, failed to mention the fact that they're just plugging Tyler Hero back in.
yeah.
Who makes up for a lot of what you lost in Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent, probably produces even more than those guys. And then, like we said, you have these other role players coming out of the woodworks, Jaime Jaquez, Haywood Highsmith, who could fill voids. Tyler Hero helps this team a lot, especially in terms of shot creation. Like, that was the one problem with the Miami Heat. Even last year when they made a run to the finals, that they lacked shot creation. And Tyler Hero is only going to help you with that. He's another guy who could play in the dribble handoff game with Bam very effectively. We've seen that. So I think this Heat team is better than we thought once again.
Yeah.
I don't know how they keep doing it,
Yeah.
how they keep
It's bullshit.
fooling us. I don't like, obviously they're on a 6-game win streak. So do I think this is sustainable? No, they're going to lose another game for the rest of the season. But I think in terms of their playoff outlook, I know I tried to be a bold prediction guy and have them out of the playoffs.
Me too.
But they'll probably get in. And I think what they've shown us during the 6-game winning streak helps me believe in their playoff outlook more, because we know what Jimmy's going to do. For the most part, we know what Bam's going to do, but if he's playing at this level, it changes things. And if Tyler Hero's playing at the level he's been playing at this season, and the role players keep playing at the level they've played on during the 6-game streak, there's no reason this team can't make another run at the finals or conference finals.
I agree. Yeah. Damn. They are
Sleazy might
scary
argue
out.
that there's one big green reason, but I just know he's going to say something, so I wanted to throw that out there. But
They're bro, they're a tough out. They always
Yeah.
are. They always are. When you have that guy coaching you, when you have Jimmy who turns up in the playoffs like he does, not to mention if you do have a healthy Tyler Hero and a Bam Adebayo who's playing the best basketball of his career, bro, I don't want to mess with the Miami Heat.
no.
I do not want to mess with the Miami Heat at that point. But yeah, about time we give them some due respect.
Yeah.
So, all right. But look, there is a possibility that this Miami Heat team can get a hell of a lot better and get a hell of a lot more shot creation. I'm just throwing that out there. There is a possibility. And his name is Zach LaVine. Officially on the trade block in the NBA, which is super dope. Because I feel like I wanted this. I hoped that this would happen. I'm sorry, Chris, your Bulls are going to fall apart a little bit. But I feel like this is something that we maybe saw coming. Obviously, I said before the season, one of my bold predictions was that the Bulls tear it down. Wasn't all that bold, but overall, that's what I thought would happen. And Zach's going to be traded. And I'm not sure if they're going to necessarily be retooling or entirely rebuilding. But what are some teams we think Zach ends up on? If there's some trade ideas, throw it out there. But if you were to make a prediction, what is the main destination and what are other possible destinations?
So everything I looked up said that the destinations were 76ers, the Lakers, the Knicks, the Heat, which Lakers are always in trade talks. I don't know that he's actually going to end up there. I don't have any trade packages. Personally, I like him going to the Memphis Grizzlies. I think him next to Ja would be just awesome. And like I said before when we mentioned Cat, I think the Grizzlies do need some help in that half-court offense. I mean, Desmond Bane has been doing what he can offensively out there. But if you have a guy like Bane, because Bane's been balling this season, but if you have a guy like him, Ja, and you put Zach LaVine into this offense, that's a real problem out west.
I'll throw a quick thing out there since you mentioned Karl Anthony Towns. What if, would the Bulls be down to potentially swap Zach for Cat?
No, why would we want Cat?
I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh
Say
man,
they
I don't
offer
think so,
Cat in
no.
a first or some shit. Would you?
I don't know. I don't really care. I just want it all to be done. I want everyone off my team. I want to have a bunch of young guys and some picks and go from there. I could care less what we get for Zach LaVine. As long as it's not fucking
long as we don't get
Karl
fleeced, yeah.
Towns. Please, no. Don't try to compete. Just lose. Just try and lose games. It's all right.
So where do you think he ends up?
I think Philly's in play. I don't know if they do it, but they're definitely in play. I think they have the best package for him. I think Miami's going to be in play.
I would not trade Tyler Hero in that package. The Dame one made sense.
Yeah.
No shot I'm trading Hero for in the Zach LaVine deal. I
would agree.
personally can't do that.
But, what else are they going to...
Yeah, I don't really think anyone else is really in play for Zach LaVine, though, right now.
So I think they have control. The Heat have control of two of their firsts.
Maybe the Magic.
The Magic makes sense.
Maybe the Pistons.
I don't like that. I think it'd be a cool fit with Cade and the way Asar plays. Oh my God, he's like the greatest defender of all time. Asar Thompson is. But I think Zach. I don't know how I feel about the whole Knicks thing.
I don't love it. I don't hate it. I don't know. I do think Zach helps us and makes us a much better
definitely.
team. But I think the Knicks are waiting for their guy. You know.
So here's my thing. Say, for example, you were able to trade, because the salaries I think end up working with something like this. You trade Emmanuel Quickley and Julius Randle for Zach LaVine.
I love Quick.
You're not doing that?
Hate Randall.
You're not doing that.
Probably.
Quickley
Yeah.
and Julius Randle.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to give up one first-round pick.
Yeah, we
and
got to
you get Zach LaVine.
Yeah, bring him over. I mean,
Would you accept that as a Bulls fan? One first, Quickley, Julius Randle.
well, maybe there's a third team. Randall goes somewhere else.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Sure. Sure.
Because I'd be down for that as a Knick fan. Personally.
I'd trade Julius Randle for myself at this point.
I would
fucking
prefer
over
to
this
not
guy.
have Julius Randle on my team, but if
So-
that's what the front office wants to do, then go for it.
Well, it's not even just competing. You are also getting a young asset in Quickly, which granted you have to pay him, but you're also getting a first-round pick, which I'm assuming would be unprotected or something like that. I'd be, as a Knick fan, and I've been the one that pushes back on almost every single trade. I would be down for a Zach LaVine trade, and I think he'd care more given that he's on a playoff team.
Yeah.
He'd play a little bit of defense, maybe, hopefully. You would assume maybe that happens. But I think that'd be dope. You get your second shot creator. We don't have a power forward at that point. There's literally no size outside of Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein on the roster. Pause.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the move.
But, I mean,
To have no forward?
Josh Hart, baby. Josh Hart, baby.
Yeah.
R.J. Barrett.
Or maybe we get
Put some respect on R.J. Barrett's
maybe
name.
we get Torrey Craig in that trade too.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Torrey
really
Craig
cool
and
to see.
Zach LaVine for Randall, IQ, and a first-round pick. And then they got to flip Caruso, too. They got to flip Caruso for a first. At least one first, because he will go for an unprotected, I think, to a good team.
Is DeRozan's a free agent, right?
DeRozan is a free
Yeah.
agent. DeRozan is indeed a free agent. And apparently he said he's going to see how this season goes with the Bulls before considering even re-signing. So they best trade his ass as well before he walks for absolutely nothing.
So I saw some things about him going to the Heat.
I don't like that, bro.
I don't love
There's
it.
already no
but
spacing.
That is a problem. But I just don't think Miami has the assets to go get LaVine.
I think they do.
Really?
My only issue.
You don't think they would have gotten Bradley Beal if that was the case?
I
Who
also
knows with them, bro.
I also
You know?
think it was a little harder to get Brad maybe than they would have expected at that point. Also, potentially they didn't value Brad to the level that they may value LaVine because they went balls to the wall for Damian Lillard.
Right. Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe they find a little middle ground with Zach LaVine there where they're like, he's super efficient. He could get buckets. we can maybe do something here with Zach, which I think if the Heat were to get Zach LaVine,
Oh yeah, that's a problem.
I think they're legit.
Yeah.
Like, if you keep Tyler Hero, you get Zach LaVine, I think you're legit. Like, fully legit. So yeah, I think that'd be great for them. If it's Kyle Lowry and like 2 first-round picks unprotected, I think the Bulls will have to pick up the phone for that. And then you have a contract buyout with Kyle Lowry, and you go from there. I think you'd have to pick up the phone. You'd have to take 2 unprotected first-round picks, even if it's down the line. Because what are you realistically getting for Zach when you paid him close to the Supermax? Like, not many teams are going to be willing to take on that contract, for many assets at least. So I think that's a super interesting situation. But yeah.
I think if Philly gets him and they're playing the way they are, that's really dangerous. I
don't know if I love the fit in Philly. Like, I could see it for sure.
Fuck the fit, man. Zach is Zach. Zach next to Maxey? And you got Embiid down low? That's terrifying.
It'd probably include Toby. Which actually ain't as bad when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because you could then start Nick Batum at the 4 or whatever, and you figure it out from there. But I don't know. I think it's Miami, bro. Once again, it's make or break time for Miami. You gotta make that move that puts all the chips in. This is your window, bro. Jimmy Butler ain't getting fucking younger.
No, absolutely. I totally agree. I just, like I said, I question the assets. I feel like someone's got a better trade out there.
Someone has a better trade, but it's if they want to give that up.
Right, yeah.
That's the thing. Because as I said, it's a big
I don't think the
contract.
Knicks are going to go in on him like that.
I don't think so either. I think, unfortunately, as much as I love Donovan Mitchell, I don't love the fit with Jalen Brunson for Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
But I think the Knicks are waiting out on Donovan Mitchell. I really do. I think we are waiting out on Donovan Mitchell. But Zach LaVine may not move the needle for some of these teams. It may not be worth the assets that they'd be giving up. So, I don't know. If I was a Bulls fan, get rid of everybody, as you said, and just start over. Start over. And if you could somehow get Lonzo Ball back on the court next year, all the better at that point as well.
Hope so, man.
But yeah, is that all we got?
I think so. We got some talks.
Yeah, we do.
I got a talk.
I got 3 talks.
You got 3 talks?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll start. This should be fun. All right, let me mark down said stamps.
You really don't care about this whole Zach LaVine situation.
I could care less about the Bulls.
Chris just wants it done. He wants the Band-Aid ripped off, man. Okay. So we have a blind rank these NBA rap lines. This should be a fun one. There's so many out there.
There are.
Like every artist that I have on this list could really have their own list. It's outlandish. All right. So here we go. We're starting off with the man himself, Jermaine Cole. Jermaine Cole says, "I'm so lit, Sports Center got to post my clips. One layup and they treat me like I'm Luka Doncic." Because he was a pro basketball player at one point. I think that's a pretty good one.
What was it again? Repeat.
I'm so lit, Sports Center got to post my clips. One layup and they treat me like I'm Luka Doncic.
That's pretty hard.
That's a tough one.
There's some historic, all-time classics, though, and that's not one of them. So I'm thinking 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a solid line, though.
Next one comes from Quavo, and he just says, "Get no playing time, Kendrick Perkins."
That's honestly, I might want to put that
so
one.
That's not a better bar.
I'll help you.
Nah,
There's
I
don't have a lot of classic line. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
Oh shit.
No,
'Cause
but
there's just
that
so
one,
many out
that
there,
one's
yeah.
classic to
That's
me.
a great-
Me and
yeah, it
Ortiz
is.
used to bump that song all the time, bro.
I'd say 2.
Get no playing time.
If you want to
Kendrick
put it at
Perkins.
1,
I think Perkins
go ahead.
pressed him about it too. He was mad as fuck.
No playing time.
Yeah, I'll put that at. No, yeah, we'll put it at 3.
Okay.
What?
We'll
I
put
said 2.
Nah, but we'll put it at 3.
All right.
All right. This next one's kind of a long one, so bear with me. The next 2 are kind of long, but Chief Keef says, "My favorite player Butler, and I got a Butler. My favorite player Rose. Money on him. Let's go. We be on that bullshit. We from Chicago." Obviously, it all sounds better when it flows.
5 still
But
open?
Yeah.
I'm not rocking with that one.
No,
I don't like that
my
bar
favorite
either.
player, Butler, and I got a Butler.
Nah, I don't like when people rhyme the,
The same
a word.
Same
with-
word, yeah.
Don't
It's
use
just
the
so
same
funny.
fucking
It's just
word,
mad
bro.
funny. All right. Next one comes from the greatest rapper of all time. You heard me say it, Kendrick Lamar. Tables turn, lesson learned, my best look. You jump sides on me. Now you about to meet Westbrook.
Oh.
What do we have available?
Oh. 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Put that at 2.
I like that at 2. I like that.
Well,
That's
let-
a fire bar.
We'll let fate decide.
That's a
What
fire
number
bar.
one?
I think you guys nailed it. Next one comes from Kanye West himself.
Let's go.
Went from the most hated to the champion God flow. I guess that's a feeling only me and LeBron know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
That's one.
Perfect. It was God tier. Yeah, exactly.
that's
no,
one.
100%.
That's a good
that's
one.
one.
Wow, we bodied that
We
list.
did body that list. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, oh Sleazy, there's a few Jay-Z bars out there that like there's when I tell you there are so many. I had some on there and I actually listened to Chief Keef on the way here and I was like, nah, it's going in there.
We can make a whole other TikTok just ranking Jay-Z NBA bars.
Literally, I'm telling you, you
We
could
should do that next time.
Jay-Z, Chief
Yeah.
Keef, J. Cole, Drake, like they could all have their own list.
Yeah.
It's crazy. There's so many out there.
Yeah. Well, that last bar you said mentioned the king, LeBron James.
Right.
So this is blind ranking LeBron James memes.
Oh, this is
beautiful.
great.
This is awesome.
So there's a reason why I did this, just because one particular meme has been just stuck in my head. Like I keep playing it on loop.
Yabba dabba doo.
No.
Fuck.
So the first one is when LeBron James invented the deluxe album. He said, "Here go 2 more for y'all."
This is great, bro. This is fucking great.
Here go 2
LeBron,
more for y'all.
LeBron has some
He's so many.
funny fucking
I think that's
moments.
4.
3 or 4, yeah.
14. But is there a problem with a week or 2 weeks after the album drop with the 14 tracks that we added the deluxe album and added 2 songs back? I mean, that's hard. I think it'll be a conversation of, oh shit, this man has some more, but he couldn't fit it into the album. Thank y'all for taking on this ride with me. You know what? Here go 2 more.
He said, "Thank you for taking on this ride with me. You know what? Here go 2 more."
As if
for
deluxe
y'all."
albums haven't been coming out for literally decades. Oh, man.
Oh,
that's the
my
first
God.
3 or 4? 4?
That's.
I'll go
I feel
4.
like 4.
Yeah, I'll go
I
4.
feel like
4 is
4.
good.
All right. Next one is when LeBron James didn't know the lyrics to the 6 Lack song and said "Yabba Dabba Doo, Old Navy."
That's 2.
That's 2. That's 2.
2.
100%, bro.
There's gotta be a
Old
1.
Navy.
We know it's
All
the
right.
1.
So the next one is the classic getting shots up in the driveway with Bronny and Bryce.
Oh my
Dunk,
God.
dunk, dunk. Ain't that what they say now? On his head.
On his head. On his head.
3? Or
Yeah, it's
5?
not 1, but it's not 5, so it's 3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just right.
yeah.
All right. So the next one is, I think he was on what is the podcast? Uninterrupted, right?
I know exactly
He
where
was
you're
on-
going with this.
He was on Uninterrupted, and some kid, I don't know who he is,
Yep.
some kid said he likes to put himself in positions where he's uncomfortable. And LeBron said, "Oh, yeah, that's my favorite saying."
That's 1. That's I fucking love that. The best part is the kid like fumbled the quote too.
Yes.
Like he didn't get it out
Yes.
clearly, and LeBron was like, "Oh yeah, that's my favorite saying." That's number 1.
my
Easily.
favorite
That's
say-
my
no,
favorite
saying.
LeBron
That's the
James
shop.
moment
Yeah, that's
ever.
the shop.
I love.
That
I
is
love
one
it.
of my favorite LeBron moments ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That
then-
has to be 1, yeah.
And then the last one I have, I feel like I couldn't have done this list without throwing this one in
soul.
here. I don't think it's number 1, but it had to be in here. Just classic Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday is a
It's
classic.
Not number 1, but
it's
is it 5?
it's probably 5 or 4 if I'm ranking them.
So you're not
What
mad
did you
at
guys
it.
Yeah, I'm
have
not mad at
open?
5.
5. Yeah.
Taco Tuesday is 5
Taco
by default.
Tuesday, yeah. So what's the list?
Yeah, you can't get better than that's my favorite.
That's my
saying.
favorite. That's number
my
1,
favorite
100%.
saying. That's the
So
best
that's
one.
number 1. Yabba Dabba Doo, Old Navy is number 2.
And it has to be.
Yeah, and number 3 is whatever. the
Deluxe album?
Yeah, the deluxe.
No, deluxe album was 4.
Yeah, number 3 was.
Dunk, dunk, dunk.
Yes.
Yeah, number
On
4
his
was the
head.
deluxe. Yeah, I'm cool with that list.
I don't hate it. I would have put Taco Tuesday probably over the deluxe.
Yeah,
and maybe over
Yeah.
on his head.
maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, you could argue all those.
All right. Which NBA player would you rather have based on their stats so far this season? So player A is averaging 24.4 points, 10.2 assists, 2.9 rebounds. He's shooting 35.7% from the field, 29.4% from three, and 89.9% from the free throw line.
Okay.
Jesus fucking Christ! You said 35% from the field.
Yeah.
Fucking Christ!
Player B
Screaming.
is averaging 22.8 points, 4.8 assists, 4.3 rebounds. He's shooting 37% from the field, 26.9% from three, and 93.3% from the line.
These boys are automatic from
Yeah,
the
this is-
stripe. I'll
this-
tell you that
This
much.
is rough.
24 versus 23.
feel
10
like-
versus 4.
I know for a fact one of these is Damian Lillard.
Those rebounds are carrying though. 24 and 10. Like this guy's doing something out there. You know.
Wait, that
Look at
was
Julius Randle.
10 rebounds?
No, 10 assists.
Oh,
assists.
10
Yeah,
assists.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I was like, wait a second, what? I feel like you kind of have to take player A just because he is passing the ball at that level.
Yeah, I'll take player A.
Player A is Trae Young, and player B is Damian Lillard.
Yep,
Wolf.
yep,
All right, and the finale.
rough.
I have 3 teams for this, but we'll see how hard the first one or two is. But guess the NBA team based on their starting lineups, points per game so far this season.
Okay.
So the first team, the point guard's averaging 15. The shooting guard's averaging 14. The small forward's averaging 24.7. The power forward's averaging 20.5. And the center's averaging 10.3.
Oof. Good small forward and power forward.
First team that came to mind was the Pelicans. But I don't think Ingram's averaging 24.7.
Yeah, this is rough. It's not the Knicks. It's not the Sixers. It's not going division by division here. Damn. Good small forward, good power forward. Who in the world is this? And why am I blanking on it?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I genuinely,
Oh yes.
I don't even know who to guess right now.
25 a game for the small forward, 20 a game for the power forward.
Who the
15.
fuck
What the fuck could this be?
has this good of a forward duo?
They could not be traditional forwards too. Yeah,
That's a good point.
that's probably it.
Not traditional forwards.
Oh, make it even harder.
I wanted to say the Knicks because RJ and Julius, but it's not.
Yeah, no, Brunson's not.
Because
averaging
Brunson's not
15.
averaging 15. Oh my God. Wow, this is rough.
Could be Toronto. Is it Toronto?
No, it's not Toronto.
Nah, OG's not averaging 24.
I figured Scotty.
Oh, that's a good guess, yeah. I think Scott, yeah, Scotty and Pascal. That was a good guess, honestly,
Yeah.
the more I think about it. Not Washington. I'm looking at the bottom of the standings here. Not the Hornets. Wow, this is bad. We're casuals, bro.
Yeah, man. Thinking divisions in my head.
I'm trying to. I'm just thinking conference, not even division.
Can you give us a conference?
West.
Okay.
The Western Conference.
You might have been right about no. Jonas is averaging more than 10. Damn, bro. It's not the Nugs. It's not the Mavs. It's not the Pels. It's wait. No, it's not the Rockets. Bro. Wait, no. Bro, I was going to say, wait. It's the Los Angeles Clippers.
It is the Los Angeles Clippers.
Wow.
Russ and Harden.
Yep.
Russ
PG
Hall.
Kawhi.
So disappointed that I
Zubac.
didn't think of that. I had them, and I just was like, nah, fuck that. It's not them.
Yeah.
You want to do one more?
No, we'll just leave it at that.
All right, cool.
Fuck this shit.
Yeah, that was rough. That was bad. All right, well,
That's it, right?
yeah. Oh, boy. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. Follow us on all of our socials. Thank you again. And, shout out to our big sponsors, SeatGeek and Thrive. I'll do SeatGeek real quick. Big shout out to the guys over at SeatGeek. As I said yesterday, they got us to the Monday Night Football game for the Jets-Chargers about a week and a half ago. Unfortunately, it was one of the worst games that I've ever seen in my entire life. But SeatGeek hooked us up with a great deal. They grade each deal on a scale of 1 to 10, with green being a good deal, red being a bad deal. Be sure to look out for all of those great deals, good prices, good seats, all that stuff. If you use code BallGamePod on your first purchase with SeatGeek, you get $20 off. Again, code BallGamePod on your first purchase with SeatGeek for $20 off. Big shout out to the guys over at SeatGeek.
And also a big shout out to our guys over at Thrive Fantasy. If you guys don't know, Thrive Fantasy is the best up-and-coming daily fantasy sports game. And when you sign up for Thrive Fantasy and use code BallGamePod, they'll match your first deposit up to $250. Again, that's code BallGamePod at your first deposit for deposit match up to $250. Thank you to Thrive Fantasy.
Free money. All right. Thank you guys again. And with that,